All right. We have another question here from our reader, and I'm going to, or listener, I guess, viewer. I'm going to divide it into two answers so that one of them won't be too long, and there's a logical break between the two. All right? Here's the question. I've been asked this so many times out on the street. So do you think people will all go to hell if they don't believe the way you do? That's probably one of the most asked questions you get off college campuses and out among the liberals and out in the world. See, it's really not a question, it's an accusation. Whoa, where'd the attitude come from, man? It's really accusing us of being bigoted and narrow-minded, of daring to claim that we are exclusive and only we have the way. So if we answer that in the affirmative, it's very easy for them to dismiss us and say, oh, I can't believe you, pitiful, uneducated, and I've got my college degree, but, you know, different ones of us. I can't believe that you would think that you have the only way. Look, the world is full of religions, it's full of philosophies, there's all kinds of things. You're right. I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. My area of expertise is so small, so narrow, and so prejudiced, so biased, that I have no right to claim that what I believe other people must believe or they're in jeopardy of going to hell. I have no right to claim that. What they're really trying to do is embarrass me and shut me up by this brilliant argument they've come up with. So you think people don't believe the way you do, they're going to go to hell. I mean, that's supposed to be a final question that shuts down discussion any further. And if you say yes, obviously they're just going to turn their nose up and walk off and totally dismiss you altogether. Now, asking that question is like going up to a paramedic who's desperately working on someone who just had a wreck and is laying out there on the side of the road, someone about to die, and saying to the paramedic, do you think that you're the only one can save him? What's with the attitude, man? I mean, here I go into prisons. I've been over 2,000, nearly 3,000 hours in prisons ministering to people. And I've seen hundreds of them get saved and their life get transformed. That's the reason you hadn't been robbed yet. That's the reason you hadn't been murdered. Because me and a lot of people like us have gone in and seen these people get born again, saved, and their life changed. I've ministered to drug addicts. I've ministered to thieves and liars. And I've seen drug addicts get totally delivered from their drugs. Government spends thousands of dollars over and over and over again on the same person, and Jesus Christ comes along and transforms them. And you're concerned that I might think that I have the only way? I do know this, the way that I proclaim, the way in the Bible, works. It just works. It works real well. It works beautifully, and it creates beautiful lives, beautiful families, beautiful children, beautiful old people, and you know, I don't mean like the appearance or anything. I mean like, you know, my lovely wife and our relationship, okay? All right, it's like going up to, your friend gets bit by a rabid dog, rabies dog, you know. So you take him to the doctor, and the doctor says, quick, I'm going to have to start giving you a series of shots to keep you from dying with rabies. And so you say to the doctor, well, I think maybe there's some herbs. No, it won't work. Can't do herbs. Herbs won't work. Well, I think maybe, you know, we'll do some meditation. That won't work either. What about acupuncture? No, that won't work either. Listen, you're going to have to get these shots. If you don't get these shots, you're going to die. Well, who do you think you are? You think if people don't believe what you believe and do what you say do, that they're going to die? Is that what you think? I mean, that would be pretty stupid, wouldn't it? The doctor has had lots of experience, and he knows what's worked and what hadn't. The doctor, and here's how he responds. It's how I respond to your question. You know, I don't know if there's another way. I just know this. The way I got works, and I've never seen another one that does. If you got a better, come tell me about it. Because what I got works. So the doctor, the paramedic, and the preacher, they all alike say, what we've got works. Get out of the way. Step back. Let us apply it. And it works. Now, you say, well, I just think it's kind of bigoted for you to believe you possess the only cure. You know, it would be bigoted if everything were just relative, if there were no absolute truth. But if I told you that exposure, blood exposure to Ebola would make you contract Ebola and kill you, I'm telling you a fact that's been proven over and over again. You will die with it, and they have no cure. Now, the natural world is controlled by physical laws that are absolute. If I say don't climb up there, that's 200 feet, that smokestack. Then one of the rungs is out. The concrete is old. It's been standing there since the Second World War. Don't climb that. And you climb it anyway, and you get to that loose rung, and you fall 190 feet. You're going to die. Now, I didn't cause that, and I'm not a know-it-all just because I warned you. I warned you because there was a guy who died doing that already. And I know how dangerous it is. So I gave you a warning based on the laws of physics. Now, there are also spiritual laws. Spiritual laws that if you violate them, it will kill you, it will destroy you, it will harm you. So you're not really asking a question when you say, do you think people will go to hell if they don't believe the way you do? You're making an accusation that I'm narrow-minded and that what I say is absurd. Now, it's based on your faith assumption that there's no truth. That there, in the spiritual world, there's nothing absolute that governs it. Whereas in the physical world, there is. You're suggesting that there's no way of knowing anything about God or pleasing Him or conforming to His will. Maybe you think that there is no God. Maybe you think there's no truth. Maybe you think there's no good and evil. Maybe you think there's no right and wrong, no responsibility, moral responsibility, no accountability, no day of judgment. If you think that, then of course you're going to think that I am bigoted and out of line when I suggest that there's a way to go to heaven that works and that no other way has proven to work except that one way, Jesus Christ. So let me ask you, do you believe in heaven or hell? Do you believe there's a heaven and hell? Say, no, well then we don't really have anything to talk about, because what I believe is based on an assumption that there is a God creator, and it's an assumption, well-placed assumption, but an assumption. I have an assumption that there is a heaven and a hell and a day of accounting that I will have to answer for the life I've lived. And most of the world assumes that, like almost 100%. So if you don't have that assumption, then you really can't accuse me of being bigoted, because if what I believe is true, then Jesus Christ is in fact the way, the truth, and the life. Now, there are many religions that offer solace and personal motivation. And 7 major religions, all of them come out of the East from the lineage of Shem. And they all have good things about them because they were created by good people who sought goodness and sought to be pleasing to the God or gods. So they're all virtuous in that manner, at least in part virtuous. They may have evils that have crept into them, but they're there to make people good, to control their behavior. But Christianity, not historical Christianity, but true biblical Christianity is the only one that's been effective in producing converts out of the worst kinds of sinners. Other religions school people, shut out other belief systems. And indoctrinate children until they grow up and become part of a culture. But only Christianity can go into those cultures and share a simple message, not indoctrination, a simple message that believes transforms people. So if pharmaceutical companies, say 7 of them, claim to have a vaccine that cures malaria. I've had malaria. I know how bad it is. And so 7 pharmaceutical companies come along and they claim to have a vaccine that cures malaria. 7 religions, 7 pharmaceutical companies. And so you go to the first and you say, where is your testimony of your cures? Well, these people right here, see them, they're singing, they're happy. Well, I notice a lot of them sweating. Why is that? Well, it's the malaria. It makes them sweat a lot, when they have the fever. What about that guy over? He died yesterday. Okay, now go to the next one. Do you have a cure? Yes, we have a cure. Here it is right here. Look at this beautiful building that we built right here. Look at all this. Look at these writings. Aren't these beautiful writings? Yes, but what about the cure for malaria? Well, these people living here in this city, none of them have it. Why don't they have it? Well, we've eradicated all the mosquitoes. But what about people who already got malaria? Will it help them? Well, we've not been able to do that. So you go through all 6 of them, and none of them really have a vaccine for malaria. And then you come across one, and he says, we go down into the jungles and we vaccinate the children. And we vaccinate the adults. How much success have you had? 98.9% success. What about the other? Well, we're not sure, but it's virtually perfect in its effect. So you go down and you look and you see a whole tribe. You say to them, now, did any of you have malaria? As I said to a Maya Indian in a primitive village in the jungles one time, I said, anybody have malaria? It was 13 people in the family, husband, wife, and 11 kids. He said, all of us except this one, pointed to a newborn. And so you go into the tribe and you say, have you had malaria? Yeah, I nearly died with it. When's the last time you had it? Well, not since I took the vaccination. What about your kids? Not since we took the vaccination. What about the newborns? None of them, they got vaccinated early. So no malaria in the village now. Well, there are a couple cases. We don't quite know what happened, but it seems that out of the 213 people, it's worked on 210 of them. I say, well, sir, I'd like to invest in your pharmaceutical company if you don't mind. It does look to me like you do have the cure. So I go back and I say, here's the cure. And somebody says to me, you think that you're the only one that's got a cure? You think if people don't take your vaccination, they'll die with malaria? Well, I don't know about dying with malaria, but they're exposed to it. They're sure going to get it. Well, you think you're the only one? Look, I don't know. I just happen to know that I got a vaccination that works, okay? So why all the attitude? Why not just take the shot, man? And you and your kids won't get it. All right, I'm going to stop there, and I'll continue with part 2 later.